what is it about philosophy that first attracted you to it?
So it was just a life raft. It was just I was unmoored in the oceans of adolescence. So I was just I'd come out of like a very tough. I didn't handle, and I suppose most people don't. I didn't handle the shift to adolescence that well, and then I kind of just got lost in it. It took a few years, and then I kind of spiraled down to some real depth where I was like, oh, I feel like there's no way for me to get to the level where I can have a virtuous cycle like bringing me upwards. So I just felt like I was stuck. And yeah, I was just at this level. I knew I needed to be at this level where the ball would roll uphill. And I was just like, there's no way for me to bridge that gap. So it would probably be easier if I was dead. It wasn't even like it was suicidal ideation rather than like I don't know. But yeah, so I was in that dark place. And then I just had a turning point and I just said, I'll start reading books again because I'd just been playing video games. I was 15, 16 at this point. So I just started reading books, and there were just things like The Three Musketeers or some Jack London books or Arthur Conan Doyle. And they were just kind of hero stories that kind of, I was like, oh, this is good. And then my brother and my dad were like, oh, you should read this book, The Outsider by Albert Camus. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I read that and I was like, what was that about? It was like nothing I'd read before. And I was like, oh, I got to read more of this. And my dad had had the same reaction. So he'd bought a load of Camus books. And one of them was The Myth of Sisyphus. And on the first page of that book, there's a line that the only serious philosophical problem is suicide. And I was like, oh, I'm home. I'm home.
Wow.
This is the domain I've been searching for. People that are looking at those fundamental questions from a point of view of living. And that's where like the living and the living philosophy is about, because it's the philosophy for me that has always been really deeply resonant was the either the existentialists in that sense of like bringing it to life, and Nietzsche would be strongly in that category, or else there's the ancients who were, and Stoicism has obviously seen a big renaissance now as well, but it's the ancient schools that were very much focused on eudaimonia, this question of like how to live your life. So that was just my first discovery of philosophy, and I was like, oh, okay, this is where I need to spend my time. This is me. Yeah. So it was just a life raft that I grabbed onto then, because I was like, oh, this is going to take me where I need to go. These people are dealing with the questions that I'm struggling with, and this might take me towards some kind of meaning in life. It was a dramatic finding. It was definitely one of the key moments of my life where I was like, oh, this is it's where you just everything just kind of slots into place, and you're like, oh, I see a future. I see what I see a path, like an infinite game that I can play that will continue to nourish me. But this was the moment where I was like, oh, purpose. Like this is amazing. And just this excited. It's kind of how I imagine Jung felt when he found alchemy, where he was like, oh, this is just this entire world that I didn't know existed and has such richness to give me. And that was, yeah, that was the feeling when I first found it. It was, yeah, I've probably had one or two other moments in my life that were as, yeah, as ground shaking as that. So it was a big moment.